Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm Thera Martin, and I'm so glad to be back with you again, and I appreciate you allowing me to come into your home or your place of business or wherever it is that you're checking out this program right now on LaSalle TV. Today on the program, we're dedicating the whole show to really shining the spotlight on a discussion about Native Americans, my brothers and sisters, and learning more about them and the struggles, the challenges, and also the good things that have happened in more recent years. And so we'll be joined by Phoenix Qayyum in the first segment on our program, and we're looking forward to doing that in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be back. Be here, Thera Martin, with you on this edition of News You Can Use.
Very much for having me.
Wow.
Good to see you.
It is good to see you, but you didn't say that. You said you can use Rebooted. I'm Thera Martin, and I am glad to be back at LaSalle TV. Hello once again, everybody, and we're so glad to be with you today on this edition of News You Can Use. I want to say welcome to Phoenix Qayyum. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me, Thera, and we really appreciate it on behalf of all the Native Americans in urban Philadelphia. Thank you.
In the time that we have on the program today, we want to shed the light on some of the history. I know we're not going to get to all of it, but some of the things that we want our community to know about Native Americans, particularly here in our own backyard. And so let's start by identifying the tribe that you come from. You come out of North Carolina. That's where your roots are tied to?
My father's roots, and that's where I'm connected. It's Occaneechi Saponi, and it's a band that has been established since the wars with the Cherokees, actually. And a place called Little Texas is where the tribe originated, which is on the border of North Carolina and Virginia. Mm-hmm. And we lost that battle and moved in towards North Carolina and sort of got sucked in to the rest of the tribes there. But yeah, very small tribe.
When I think about Native Americans, and I think about African Americans, although our stories are not quite the same, because we were brought here, we were forced here, you all were here and forced out of your own land. But yet and still, I still feel like we're brothers and sisters, and over years there was a lot of mixing and blending of our families as history would go. But let me just look at the Mayor's Office of Native American Affairs and where that stands in 2024. And I know that's not the official name, but at some point in time, we want to see an official office in Philadelphia under the leadership of the mayor of the city, be that Sherelle Parker or whoever might come after her, that's about Native Americans.
Well, Rendell, they traced it back to Rendell. I think it goes back further than that. But records show that Rendell, when he was in office, allowed Chief Buffy Red Feather Brown to establish a commission on Native American affairs. Okay. So that was started years ago. And because it's not what they call an official, and I'm not very hip when it comes to politics, but apparently it was not a thing that would, every mayor who comes in would have to do it all over again, would have to approve it. Now what they're doing, and we have to give a lot of respect for Councilman Young's office, he's going to make it permanent. So it's going to be a commission, and they haven't decided exactly what the name is, but it will service all the Native Americans in the city of Philadelphia. And it will be overseen and hopefully be staffed by urban natives who live here, who pay taxes, who have been here for years. And those people will be the ones on the commission serving the Native American community, the same as there's a Caribbean commission that services. So that is the overall objective.
Okay, so now Councilman Jeffrey Young, Philadelphia City Councilman Jeffrey Young, who's from the 5th Council District, out of his office, if there are people who are viewing the program right now and they want to support this effort, they need to reach out to him, they need to send him a letter or something to say, we're behind you. We want to see this happen.
And the person who is handling that is Ali. And he has a lot of other titles behind that. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but as soon as you reach out to that office and you say, Ali L or L Ali, they'll know exactly that you're calling on behalf of the Native American Commission.
All right, so other subjects under this umbrella that we want to get to, and this one is just heartbreaking, and I think too often we're not educated enough about it, so thank God you're here. Missing and murdered Indigenous women.
It's a movement. It's a movement, and it started in the reservations all over the United States. And it's a group of women who are bringing attention to the statistics of Native American women specifically gone missing. And I told you I have some statistics, and let me just go over them a little bit here. There are, and I ask everyone to Google this and become involved and ask questions and look into it for yourself. There are 4,200 unsolved cases of missing and murdered Native American and Indigenous women. National Crime Information Center has 1,500 Native American and Alaskan Native people don't have resources to even investigate these murders. It is 1.5 million Native and Alaskan women who experience domestic violence. That means they're being beaten, they're being sold, they're being raped, and it's an outrage. So this organization, and the color is red, and you will see whenever you Google it, you'll see they have a hand, a red hand, which represents blood. The blood on the hands of the people who have not spoken out, and it's across their mouth because they're silent. So bring enough attention to this. Hopefully, women will move forward and make sure that, whatever finances, whatever support, whatever these women need, please reach out. I beg, please reach out to them.
Now, for these missing and murdered Indigenous women, some of them, we're not sure what happened. They got snatched going home from the supermarket. They got snatched walking home from school. Could have been anybody. Some of them could have been sold into a sex trafficking situation.
We talked about that sex trafficking. We talked about how my personal experience with that was at one of the Unity Day celebrations many years ago when I was younger and more beautiful. There was a rodeo in town, and the rodeo guys came out, and Chief Buffy had a stage, and we were doing Native American dance and Native American speeches and storytelling and legends and things like that. And this guy just walked up to me because I came off stage to get something to drink. And it was an elderly guy. And I don't mean elderly and he was bent over or anything, but he had to be in his late 50s. And he walks up to me and he says very sternly, "Who speaks for you, woman?" And I was like shocked because, it is the 20th century and this guy is one.
Regalia?
In regalia,
Okay.
full regalia. And he says, "You heard me, who speaks for you?" And Bilal was standing not too far. So I said, "Bilal, I guess he's talking about you." So Bilal said, "Well, what's going on?" So he says, "You speak for this woman?" So Bilal said, "Well, she speaks for herself." He says, long story short, he says, "I'll give you 20 horses for this woman." So Bilal thought it was a joke, and he's laughing, and I'm laughing too, because I'm like thinking, 20 horses, and like I told you, Bilal says, look, he give you 20 horses, he gonna bring you back. I'm gonna have 20 horses. Okay, so, and, we're joking back and forth, and Chief Buffy, he was very serious, and Chief Buffy came over, and she said to Bilal, she said, "I want you to get her out of here." He said, because he's not joking. You will find 20 horses in front of your house, and you won't have your woman. So he said, "I think you need to get her out of here." So, naturally, Bilal took me home.
We've got Phoenix Qayyum as our guest on our program today, and we're so excited to have her. And she's sharing information about Native Americans and some of the plight, some of the things that they've experienced over time here in this country. We talk a little bit about the reservations and what happens on some of the reservations. And so when I was mentioning earlier, we don't know with some of the murdered or missing women what exactly happened. But in some cases, the death, the murder, or the rape actually happens on the reservations because there's some
There's sovereignty.
yes.
Reservations have their own laws. Recognized tribes are sovereign nations. And it's a very complicated, intricate type of laws and rules. So the same rules and things that are established in the United States don't roll on a reservation. Like, you know, federal government can't go in on a reservation and dictate their laws.
Okay.
So a lot of women are being mistreated, and a lot of women have gone missing. And a lot of women have been sold into sex trafficking and have never been heard of. Because again, giving that example of being, you know, traded for 20 horses, I mean, that was nothing to him, you know, and that's what women represent on reservations. We're nothing but, you know, as in slavery property.
Well, Phoenix Qayyum has on this beautiful red today, and it is regalia. We don't call it garb. We don't call it an outfit. It is regalia. Real briefly, can you tell us about this beautiful regalia that you have on today?
I prefer skins because skins represent the original garments in which Native Americans made their clothing from. And this was made by a woman called Spotted Pony, and there is no sewing. Everything is done, is woven in skin. You won't find any threads in this or anything. And let me speak briefly about the shawl, because you will find every Native woman who carries a shawl is a representation of the Cherokees' Trail of Tears. And it wasn't just the Cherokees, it was all tribes, and they call it the Long Walk. Associated specifically with Cherokees, because Cherokees are the largest tribe in the nation. And it also was the first tribe that assimilated into white culture. And they thought that they would assimilate and be accepted. And the government promised them through treaties that they would be accepted as equals in this country. And of course, we know different. So
They were lied to.
as always, so President Andrew Jackson enacted the Indian Removal Act in 1830. And in doing so, he took all Native Americans across this country, just rounded them up like cattle. And they used the U.S. government to do this. And they rounded it up and they literally walked them to what they called Indian country, which is in Oklahoma. So now you realize all the Eastern Band tribes are now coming out of Oklahoma. And that's because that's where they were removed to.
Ooh, hold that thought. My. We are learning some history today about Native Americans and what they went through in America. So we will come back with our special guest, Phoenix Qayyum, in just a moment. Stay with us. The program will continue. No, 15 minutes, or not even 15 minutes, like 14 minutes.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
Did you know that listening to music, enjoying art, or simply holding hands can boost your cognition? Like me, you want to maintain brain health for as long as possible. I'm Kevin Jameson, President of the Dementia Society of America. Please request our free guide filled with 10 building blocks to better brain health, care planning, and facts about dementia. Visit our website at 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call us at 1-800-DEMENTIA. You want to live life to the fullest, and our free guide can help.
When you look at me, you might see
a person with Parkinson's disease,
but if you look closer,
you'll see
a warrior mom,
an endurance athlete,
someone with a lot of fight.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Look closer.
My spirit
is unshakable.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. These programs cover doctor's appointments, hospital visits, prescriptions, shots, and more. As parents, we get peace of mind knowing that our children are covered if they are sick or get injured. You may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if you've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And we continue with our program right now, News You Can Use, and Phoenix Qayyum is my guest, and we're talking about American natives who have had some struggles in this country and have not been respected to this day like they should be. But just before we went to break, we were talking about the regalia that you have on. It's so very beautiful.
Thank you.
And handmade and all that. And you've got this beautiful shawl.
So the shawl is mostly the most respected piece of regalia. It represents the Trail of Tears like we were talking about, because the women were let out of their homes and the only thing they had were the things on their back, because that's what everyone was allowed to take, and they had the shawl. So you will see in a lot of depictions of Native Americans crossing and being let out by the U.S. government. The armies came in and did this removal. They'll have the shawl, and the shawl is around their shoulders. And you can walk into, I can go into a dance circle in jeans and a sweatshirt. As long as I have my shawl, I can dance with my people in that circle. The shawl is what represents the total Native American woman and the struggles.
Okay, so this time is flying by so fast, whereas I thought, oh, half an hour, we're going to be able to, will we fill a whole half an hour? We need 2 hours. It's like
Always.
so much, it's so much. But I want to talk about the boarding schools that Native American children were forced to go to, ripped from their families, ripped from their moms and their dads, and from everything that they knew, and forced to stop speaking their native tongue, and just everything was taken from them with the American government's approval to do this.
It's very sad. Carlisle, Pennsylvania, is a home of one of those Native American schools. Now, they were all over, and they were run by missionaries, of course, and some of them were not run by missionaries. And sometimes the children, when they were taken away, naturally they were stripped of everything. Their hair was cut. And it breaks my heart to even talk about that. They couldn't speak their language. They couldn't practice their religion and their spiritualism. And they were children. They were children between the ages of 2 and 12, and sometimes 16. And you know what happened to the girls, and you know what happened to the boys that were, 8, 9, 10 years old. They were raped. They were beaten. And those who couldn't survive and tried to run, if they were caught, they were beaten even more.
That's why they found so many bodies up there all around the grounds.
And they were buried. They were buried. And the good part, and again, this is another movement to bring those children back home to their reservations, to their families, to their tribes. If they could dig them up and take them home, and they've done a few of them. It should be mandatory that all of these children be returned to their graves. These children, and I also have to say real quick, because I have to give some credit to Catherine Drexel, St. Catherine Drexel, who was one of the richest, Drexel University, richest families in Pennsylvania, and they were Catholic. And she had a school for Black and Native American children in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. So, you know, again, I asked folks to Google that, and she did some good. There are no graves up there that I know of. Okay, so her and the nuns of the Blessed Sacrament are her.
That's her order.
Her order, exactly. Exactly. Good
Catholic
for you.
girl.
Okay, her order. And so those nuns were still in existence in Bensalem until, of course, they sold the land, and you know they shipped St. Catherine Drexel's body to Center City, which now is in the cathedral.
Yes.
But she also had a school, and not as strict. And I asked folks to look at Yellowstone has a segment, real quick, has a segment that deals with exactly, and give credit also to Kevin Costner, because when he tells a story, he tells the truth.
Yeah.
And it's a depiction of exactly what happened in those schools, and it'll break your heart. It'll break your heart. So it's a segment of Yellowstone where they go back to that time.
Okay.
Thank you for covering
Yes.
that. And also, Kat, thank you for covering the MMI.
So if people really want to be more educated, they need to purchase the book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee.
Purchase that book, or if you don't want to purchase it, go to the library and get it. And it also comes in softback. It tells of the atrocities that was committed during, by the armies of soldiers who went on reservations, on a specific reservation called Wounded Knee, and literally cut out, after killing women and children and men, cut out the vaginas of the women and wore them as headbands, and cut off the penises of the men and used them as tobacco pouches. And those things are still in existence. I don't know where they are, but those things are still in existence somewhere in somebody's attic. But just the atrocities of people, of how cruel these we call them visitors, although they've stayed, you know, did to people here.
Okay, so again, the clock is running out on me so quickly, and I wanted to also acknowledge the fact that the month of November, which we are running out of by the time people see this show, will be like into the month of December, darn near.
Right.
But it is Native American Heritage Month. The month of November has been designated across the country. And so there's some things that are starting to happen to give some limited recognition, should be way, way more.
Yes. I'm surprised that you are the only media connection that has reached out and is showing some interest in the Native American culture. I haven't seen anything on any of the other channels, and I really appreciate the time, the radio time that you have given us, and hopefully reach out again to
We're going to keep the education going. But before you go, for real, this whole thing about Cherokee. Well, in the African American community, it seems that so many of us across the country were told by our grandparents or our great-grandparents, yep, we got Cherokee blood, we Cherokee. And so me being just like a lot of other folks around me, I repeat what I was told. Yep, my grandmama, I know she's Cherokee, and she's got straight, black, long, silky hair that comes all the way down to her butt. I know I'm Cherokee. But you corrected me, and you said, Thera,
don't say
DNA. Do your DNA before
spit
you
in a
claim.
tube, spit in a tube, do your DNA, make sure you know who you're coming from, because there's a lot of tales out there. There's a lot of tales out there. And Cherokee is one, like I said, one of the largest tribes. They assimilated first. They actually fought with the British in the Revolutionary War because they were promised land. So, I mean, and the Cherokees were so in depth in white culture that they had slaves. And that is where a lot of my Cherokee grandmother, my Cherokee so you got to really think about who you're giving your ancestors up to, because that might have been who they were enslaved with.
But so once you do DNA and you find out, oh, I'm an Occaneechi Saponi tribe member.
Now let me tell you something else. Cherokees also go by last names, and they have roles, and they're very specific about those last names. So you spit in a tube. If you go to a specific, and you might find that you have Native American ancestry all over.
Yeah.
You might be Apache. You might be Zuni. You might be Choctaw. There's a lot of different tribes that you might be associated with. Do that search to find your family's tribe. If your grandmother was Cherokee, then that name will be on the rolls of the Cherokee.
But once you know and you have that proof of the DNA, you can get registered.
Yes.
Okay, so we got 30 seconds. Tell us how to do that in 30 seconds.
I can't tell you how to do that.
Okay.
All I can tell you, because with me, my father, since it was in my family, I knew who I was from birth. So I didn't have to look for it.
Okay.
And my people didn't have to look for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we are going to, on a future show, bring someone on who can talk about how you can take that next step after you discover you do have Native American blood in you, in your DNA. Then we're going to tell you how to go from there, because it's important to claim your culture. I want to thank you again, Phoenix Qayyum. And the Qayyum family means a lot to me, a lot to me. My son would not be the man he is today were it not for the Father's Day Rally Committee and your husband, Bilal Qayyum, bringing him through the Rites of Passage program. So I will forever respect and honor and love the Qayyum family for that, and for many other things too. Thank you, and God bless you in the new year. Love you back. That's it for this edition of News You Can Use. We thank you so much for joining us. We certainly hope you enjoyed the program today and got a lot of education and information. And if God says so, we'll be back again for another show real soon. Stay with us.